Yeah, so the guys see it. It was challenging because there's 4 guys, and they're sort of all telling one story that sort of spans 30 years. My editor here, Lenny Messina, was very instrumental in helping me and helping, you know, this movie was not made by myself, you know, it was our own tribe. It was daunting, and that was probably the biggest challenge. Am I talking too loud? No, okay. All right. This reminds me when I used to do stand-up comedy. This thing on? That was probably the biggest challenge, is because it's 4 guys' story and they all have different perspectives, and to be unbiased, and because when we were with them, it got a little cantankerous. To make it biased, and so everyone has their point of view, particularly Q-Tip and Fife. So it was hard. I feel really proud of the fact that it is unbiased. But like I said, you know, my man here, we were in the dungeon for a long time, and you know, it was just all of us doing it together. So did I answer that? I hope I answered that.
I just want to say, first of all, coming from a really, really long time track fan, you really nailed it. You did a good job.
Thanks.
All the hip-hop luminaries that are out there, I know you're a big hip-hop fan. Why did you decide to try? Did you always know that you wanted to, because like you just said, this is like the first real hip-hop bio. I mean, did you always have in mind you wanted to do it on track? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I honestly, the inception of a documentary being on a Tribe Called Quest, I mentioned that to my friend. I was at that last show that was in the film in 1998. I mentioned it that night to somebody. I was reminded of that, like, there should be a documentary about Tribe Called Quest, because if you grew up in hip-hop and you love hip-hop, to us, a Tribe Called Quest is our Rolling Stones, they are our Led Zeppelin, they are our Ramones, they mean that much. And all of those groups, the Doors, all the groups from the late 60s and the 70s have all been documented endlessly. And sort of the next wave, and now there's like 30 years of perspective on hip-hop, is the hip-hop groups, for me. So yeah, Tribe is always my favorite group, the dynamic, the fact that it is a group. And, you know, I was very unfulfilled when they broke up. It wasn't their best album. It was a good album, but it wasn't their best album. And because what they put out was so, it went right to your heart. You know, it wasn't just great music. Something about the chemistry and the music and the tone of the music and the, you know, that intangible thing, it just went right to your heart. So it just, that was only, I didn't ever think I want to do a group documentary or hip-hop, or it wasn't like I had a choice. There was never any question in my mind, like, that was for me. I love Run DMC, I love Public Enemy. God bless the person who wants to take on the Wu-Tang Clan documentary. I wish them all of that. But, you know, Tribe was always my thing, you know, so that was that. I'll go in the back.
Two questions. When will they make another album after this? Feels like maybe they might, from the last fact you guys about on their record contract. And also, you know, when you started the beginning, middle, end, that you had found so nicely as the film to watch, like this sort of concept that they had, and showing their now where they are.
What was the second question? The first question is, I don't know if they'll make another album. You know, my mission statement, my whole sort of in one line, why I wanted to make the movie was because I always asked them and people around them when I would see them out and about in New York, will a Tribe Called Quest make more music? Can a Tribe Called Quest make more music? In hip-hop, the lifespan of artists is short. You know, yeah, monumental hip-hop artists who are dead. You have hip-hop artists who are in jail. The lifespan is different than, you know, let's say indie rock. It's just not the same conditions. So, you know, I was always like, come on, you guys are alive, you're relevant, make the music, we want it, everyone wants it. So I don't know if they're going to make it. I hope they do something. But what was the second part?
You knew when you started making this, really where it was going to go.
I had no idea where it was going to go. I didn't know that. I thought it would be kind of an overview of the music. That was always something that I always wanted to tell, the late 80s, the sort of golden era of hip-hop. I wanted to articulate that and inform that in the movie because it meant so much to me, and it's such a special time for the music. It was part of my youth and a lot of people's youth. And if you're younger than me, you know, you look back on it just the same way. When I was a kid, I'd look back on the 60s and be like, oh, the rock and roll and Jimi Hendrix, it's the same thing. So for the younger people, the teenagers, I'm not that old, but, you know, the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are into hip-hop now, it's kind of looking back. And for the people that are my age or a little older, you know, 40 years old, it's, you know, you're kind of going back into your youth, into your high school years. So that was always something I wanted to explore. I didn't know that, I didn't realize the nature of their relationship. I didn't know I didn't think Spike was going to talk to me at all about his health. And I certainly had no idea about his wife and the kidney stuff. I found out about that when he talked to me about it on camera. And for me, like that moment and being a director and a documentary director for the first time, like that was as exhilarating. It was the same sort of experience that I've gotten as an actor when you're in the groove and you make something special happen. Like, you know, you're talking, and then he just got really personal. And he kind of set the tone for that because he's just how he is. Like, Spike is unfiltered, honest, sometimes probably, you know, to a fault. So I had no idea, but once we started getting into that stuff that was really personal to them, the film became more personal to me because I could relate to the fractured friendships and the fractured relationships, and that's what I started gravitating toward in the editing room, and it just kind of kept going.
Yeah, I know it's a kind of a compound question. I know during the ending credits you had people introducing themselves. Is that everybody that was on the Jimmy Marauders album?
No, that's not. I could never track down everybody that was on that album. Those were everybody. There was 2 or 3 people that didn't make it into that because just either there was 1 or 2 people we just forgot to get to IB. Those were all the people that we interviewed. You know, there was like a lot of big stars like Nas and you know, a lot of people that just didn't make it to the album because into the movie because. Like, the framework always had to be a Tribe Called Quest. And once we kind of realized that, it was easier for me and Lenny because, you know, if it wasn't about the guys or if the guys could tell the story, you know, Too Short was great. His stories were great. Everybody's stories were great, but we had to keep it about them. So, you know, that wasn't everybody on the cover. It was, and that IB thing, if anybody is De La Soul fan, there was a song on one of their albums, I can't remember which one, right, Blew My Tape. So, that was kind of inspired by that because I am IB, so that's what that was from.
Sorry, just second part of the question. I'm always curious about this. You probably know this since you for 2 years. What happened to Jerobi after the first album? He sort of disappeared for 3 albums there. They brought in Consequence for the Beach Rhymes Life. And now he's back on the tour in 2008. You kind of decided that kind of get it towards it.
You know, like Q-Tip said, he kind of had a revolving door policy. Jerobi is truly a free spirit. I mean, he's like, he is sort of the spirit of a Tribe Called Quest. He's just that guy, that wandering guy, that, you know, and their first album was People's Instinctive Travels and The Path of Rhythm. That is Jerobi. So he didn't really have any, I want to be a star, I want to make money. He was just like, I want to do it when I want to do it. And they all grew up together, so they were like, all right, cool, when you want to do it, come back. When you don't want to do it, see you later. You want to come on tour? Great. You don't, you know, so that was kind of his place. Because that was one of the things I wanted to articulate, because if you're a Tribe fan, I was always like, what the fuck happened to Drew?
It's not often that a director would not put themselves in, and you did a few times. I'm just wondering if that was your decision, or if it was an editing decision, or how you considered yourself.
Well, at the end of the day, Lenny, my editor, he cut me out of the movie. Which was really a disgrace as far as I was concerned, because I was like, if I can't get a part in my own movie, then... I mean, but, you know, there was versions, there was a lot of footage of me with the guys, and a lot of sort of funny, anecdotes with me trying to track down, chasing rappers is a hard thing. So when I would be standing at, 7 a.m. to meet Large Professor, and Large Professor wouldn't show up, I would just be there with a camera, and my commentary would be, like, oh, look at poor me, I'm standing out in the rain, and Large Professor is in here. And, I felt like if I inserted myself in the movie more, it would be kind of cheating. In the beginning, I didn't want to be in it at all. And then there was cuts where I was in it a lot more, but I felt like that would be the easy road out, because it would just be cheating to me. And so, I wanted to take myself. I would have at least loved an IMIB, but this guy, Hold it. I mean, this guy's been in 20, 30, 40, 50 movies on TV. I mean, do we really need to see Mike rap in a Rapaport Plus film? The thing is, though, we had him in there because he was the voice of the band, and he was kind of speaking for us, asking questions that we wanted to ask those guys. So I think it was a conscious effort to, have the audience relate to what was going on with the guy. And he is the everyman guy. What you see in films is the actual dude. So it's I think it was a nice thing. You can't say that. I still have an acting career. I'm trying to say. All right, 2 more questions.
Now, was there a moment where you had to put down the camera and just kind of geek out as a fan?
Absolutely. All the time. I was nervous interviewing. Like, the first thing we shot was the interview with De La Soul, and it was all 3 of them. And, my son is named after Maceo from De La Soul, and I've known them a little bit, and, I was like, yo, I'm doing this Rapaport Quest documentary. Can I interview you? They're like, yeah. And I was like, well, when? They were like, right now. And I was like, oh, shit. And I consider myself talkative, but I was just kind of like, I was the stuff. And, so yeah, and Pharrell and Amir and the Jungle Brothers who were like, they were like gods when I grew up. So being, like, finally meeting them and talking to them and, kind of having to be a director and not be a fan, it was definitely like I had to, kind of straighten myself out and, like, get to business. So, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in the hardcore and straight edge and hip hop scenes, sort of like you did. And I just wanted to thank you for trying to answer to the outside world what the questions you asked in the H2O video. What happened to rap music? I appreciate it.
All right, I appreciate that too. That's my friend Toby Morrison there. I'll answer one more question.
Can you talk a little bit about that animation that you opened it with?
The animation that I opened with is by, he gets mad when I say this, but he's just brilliant. His name is James Flagden. If you guys, when you get home, if you could YouTube something that was at Sundance last year, it's called Doc Ellis No. He did a short film on if you just put Doc Ellis or James Flagden. I saw that and I just emailed him. I was just blown away by that. And he's just special. I felt like I didn't want the film to be over animated. I knew that Tribe's artwork kind of had that animation youthful quality to it. So I reached out to James and told him what I was doing, and he was working in Brooklyn while we were editing in Los Angeles, so it was really kind of like, we would talk on the phone and he would send me drawings, and and then 3 weeks later I'd get like another drawing, and I was like, what the fuck, man, you gotta, like, I need more. But he just, we discussed kind of themes for each of the little segments, and I really wanted something magical from him to assist me and to assist the film, and when I finally saw it, I was just like, it's really, to me, I would be bragging if I said, if I made it, but for me it's just breathtaking, the animation. I have nothing to do with it in terms of the art. I just kind of had the ideas in mind, but, like I said, I'm just, like, blown away by it, and it just lends so much to the movie, and I'm just happy it all worked out. He's just really special. You guys should definitely look at his other stuff on YouTube. It's really good, and I hope to see him do more stuff with anybody, because he's just great.
It was great.
Thank you. You guys, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I really hope you enjoyed the film, and thanks for having us here.